Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a journey through Australia's hidden treasures. The story of the 2-cent coin, a small piece of bronze that has grown into a collector's dream. From its first strike in 1966 to the legendary editions of the 1970s and 1980s, these coins carry more than metal. They carry history, pride, and unexpected value. Each coin tells a tale of Queen Elizabeth II's era, rare mintings, and rising prices that continue to amaze collectors worldwide. So stay with us till the end, because the coin you once ignored might just be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars today. Now we're turning our attention to one of the most surprising treasures hiding in plain sight, the 1972 Australian 2-cent coin, featuring the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This small, reddish coin might look ordinary at first glance, but don't be fooled. What lies behind it is a remarkable blend of rarity, craftsmanship, and unexpected value that has collectors across Australia and beyond, searching every old jar and wallet for that one lucky piece. The story of this coin begins in the early 1970s, a time when Australia was still adjusting to decimal currency. The 2-cent coin, first introduced in 1966, was a symbol of progress, replacing the old pennies and farthings of the pre-decimal era. By 1972, the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra continued producing these coins, each struck in bronze, with the iconic frilled-neck lizard designed by Stuart Devlin proudly displayed on the reverse. On the obverse side, the graceful profile of a young Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machen captured an era of royal dignity and stability. But what makes the 1972 version so special is its limited mintage. Compared to other years, far fewer of these coins were struck. Collectors estimate only around 5.6 million were produced, a small number when compared to the tens or hundreds of millions from other years. This low mintage instantly elevated its desirability. While the coin was meant for daily use, many never realized that each one carried the potential to become a rare collector's item decades later. As time passed, countless coins were lost, melted, or simply spent into circulation until they were worn down beyond recognition. Finding a 1972 2-cent coin in pristine condition today is no small feat, and that's exactly what makes it valuable. When collectors hunt for coins, condition matters just as much as rarity. A regular 1972 2-cent coin in worn condition might still bring interest, but a brilliant uncirculated or proof quality example can attract serious attention from numismatists. In recent years, high-grade examples have sold for hundreds of dollars, with some reaching values of $350 to $500 when graded and encapsulated by professional services. For a coin that once could buy only a piece of candy, that's an extraordinary transformation. Imagine holding that tiny bronze coin and realizing it could be worth more than a modern smartphone, all because of its year, its condition, and its place in Australian minting history. And the excitement doesn't end there. Certain era coins from the 1972 2-cent series, such as off-center strikes or double-struck examples, have fetched even higher prices, with collectors paying as much as $800 or more for unique minting errors. Each of these coins carries a story, a small piece of Australia's economic history, preserved in metal and crowned by the image of Elizabeth II. It's a reminder that value doesn't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, it hides in bronze. If you have a jar of old coins at home, now is the time to check them. Look closely at those small 2-cent pieces. Flip them over and see if the date reads 1972, because that tiny number might be your gateway to a collector's dream. Collectors across Australia and the world continue to compete for these coins in auctions, with pristine pieces becoming more scarce with each passing year. Each sale adds another chapter to its legacy, and pushes its value even higher. What began as an everyday coin has now become a coveted treasure, proving that the smallest denominations can hold the biggest surprises. So yes, the 1972 Australian 2-cent coin is not just a coin. It's a piece of history, a symbol of rarity, and for the lucky finder, a potential gold mine in bronze. The maximum recorded value so far for a flawless example has reached around $800. And who knows? The next one found in perfect condition could fetch even more as collectors continue to chase perfection. So go on, take a look through your collection, your drawers, your jars. Because one of those little coins could be worth far more than you ever imagined. As we move forward from the story of the 1972 Australian 2-cent coin, that rare gem of the early 70s, we now step into the following year, where another small coin continued to surprise collectors with its lasting legacy. The 1973 Australian 2-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. The 2-cent coin of 1973 followed the same elegant design introduced in 1966. The frilled-neck lizard proudly displayed on one side, and the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the other. Designed by Stuart Devlin and Arnold Machin, this pairing became one of Australia's most iconic coin designs. But what truly makes the 1973 2-cent coin stand out is its story of scarcity and survival. Though more were minted than the 1972 issue, a surprising number never made it into long-term circulation. Many were withdrawn, damaged, or melted down in the decades that followed. This has made high-quality, uncirculated 1973 2-cent coins increasingly rare today. And with rarity comes value. Collectors know that finding a sharp, glossy example with a full strike and minimal marks can be like discovering bronze gold. Over the years, coin enthusiasts have paid significant sums for pristine examples. In recent sales and auctions, top-graded 1973 2-cent coins have reached values between $300 and $600, with certain proof-quality examples climbing even higher. Now imagine a coin that once slipped unnoticed through pockets and purses in the 1970s, now commanding hundreds of dollars from collectors who understand its true worth. That's the magic of numismatics, where the past pays dividends to those who respect it. Some rare minting errors have also turned up among the 1973 coins: off-center strikes, die cracks, or coins struck on wrong planchets. These unusual varieties are even more valuable, sometimes fetching $800 to $1,000 or beyond, depending on their rarity and condition. What gives this coin its lasting charm is not just its metal or mintage, but the story it tells of Australia's growth, its artistry, and its royal connection through Elizabeth II. Each coin acts as a time capsule from a world that was simpler, yet brimming with quiet significance. Collectors today prize these coins, not just for their financial value, but for their historical emotion, the feeling of holding something that has traveled through half a century and survived in brilliance. And remember, as with the 1972 coin, condition is everything. A well-preserved coin can turn a small piece of bronze into a collectible worth hundreds of dollars, and that's no exaggeration. So if you ever come across a 1973 Australian 2-cent coin tucked away in an old drawer or a forgotten tin, don't overlook it. Clean your lens, examine the luster, and if it gleams like the day it was minted, you might just be holding a miniature treasure. With each year that passes, the supply of untouched examples decreases, and that only drives the price higher. It's a simple rule of collecting: rarity meets demand, and value follows. From the humble beginnings of its 1973 release to its rise as a collector's delight, this coin continues to remind us that true worth often hides in plain sight. The maximum recorded value so far stands around $1,000 for an exceptional error-free specimen. a testament to how far a little coin can go in the right hands. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes sharp and your collections ready. The 1973 Australian 2-cent coin is not just an object of history. It's a shining example of how something small can hold an enormous legacy. And as we move further along this journey through the years, each coin we uncover reveals another layer of Australia's remarkable numismatic story, a story that continues to shine, one bronze treasure at a time. As we continue our journey through the golden age of Australian bronze, moving beyond the treasures of 1973, we now arrive at another remarkable year, 1977, a date that shines brightly in the history of Australian coinage. This coin was minted during a time when Australia's decimal currency had already become part of daily life. The 2-cent coin, though modest in value, carried great artistic and national importance. Each piece featured the beloved frilled-neck lizard, a creature as unique and resilient as the country itself, designed by the brilliant Stuart Devlin. On the obverse, the radiant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin continued to represent stability, grace, and authority, a design that Australians had come to admire for over a decade. But 1977 was no ordinary year. It marked the silver jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II, the 25th anniversary of her accession to the throne. Across the Commonwealth, this year was filled with royal celebrations, and collectors today see coins from 1977 as symbolic keepsakes from that historic moment. While the Royal Australian Mint struck millions of these coins, only a limited number have survived in brilliant, uncirculated condition, making them extremely desirable among serious collectors. Over the years, these coins have quietly risen in value, with high-grade examples fetching between $300 and $600, while proof-quality specimens, especially those kept sealed in mint sets, can reach as high as $900 in today's market. And that's not all. Unique minting errors from 1977 have pushed the boundaries even further. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or double-struck examples have fetched over $1,200 at auction, depending on their rarity and presentation. Just imagine holding in your hand a coin that once slipped through the fingers of ordinary Australians, now transformed into a collectible masterpiece worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. That's the beauty of the 1977 2-cent coin. It's not merely about metal and numbers. It's about history captured in a circle of bronze. It represents an era of royal pride, national progress, and artistic brilliance, all within a coin that once jingled casually in pockets. Collectors across the world now hunt for this particular year, not only because of its connection to the Queen's Silver Jubilee, but also because of its reputation for high-quality strikes and excellent preservation potential. The value of a coin like this lies in its condition, rarity, and the emotion it carries. A flawless 1977 coin gleams with the memory of a generation that witnessed both tradition and change. And the market reflects that emotion, rising steadily, as more collectors realize that the small 2-cent piece they once overlooked may hold a story worth far more than its weight in bronze. The maximum recorded price for a perfect 1977 Australian 2-cent coin stands around $1,200, and with demand continuing to grow, that number is only expected to climb. So if you ever find one of these coins among your old collections, treat it with the respect of a hidden jewel, because sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest fortunes. The 1977 Australian 2-cent coin remains one of those shining examples, a bridge between royal history and Australian heritage, waiting patiently for its next discoverer. And as we move forward from this remarkable year, the story of Australia's humble 2-cent coin only gets more fascinating, revealing new mysteries, new values, and new treasures from the decades that followed. As we move onward from the royal legacy of 1977, a year that celebrated Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee, we step into another intriguing chapter of Australia's numismatic journey, the 1978 Australian 2-cent coin. The 1978 2-cent coin carried forward the same beautiful design that had already become an Australian classic. On the obverse, the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. On the reverse, the unmistakable frilled-neck lizard by Stuart Devlin, symbolizing the wild spirit of Australia itself. But beneath its familiar face lies something truly special. Unlike the heavily circulated coins of earlier years, the 1978 mintage was comparatively limited, and even fewer examples have survived in the pristine, brilliant, uncirculated state that collectors crave. At the time, millions of these coins entered daily use, but most endured scratches, dulling, and wear. Today, finding one that still shines as it did nearly half a century ago is an achievement worth celebrating. Over the decades, collectors began to notice the rising demand for clean, lustrous 1978 specimens. Coin dealers, too, started to recognize their growing scarcity, especially those struck with sharp definition and full details on both the Queen's portrait and the lizard's scales. And it's that perfect preservation that makes this coin so valuable today. In recent years, uncirculated 1978 2-cent coins have fetched between $400 and $700, depending on condition, while proof-quality examples have reached impressive figures around $900 to $1,000. What's even more remarkable are the error coins from this year, those rare minting anomalies like off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet flaws that make collectors' hearts race. Some of these have been sold for more than $1,200, with record-breaking examples still surfacing in private collections. Every time one of these coins reappears, it tells a story of resilience, how a small bronze coin from 1978 could survive decades untouched, defying time and circulation to emerge as a collector's treasure. And when you think about it, that's what makes numismatics so thrilling. The true value of a coin is just in its metal or denomination. It's in the story it carries, the rarity it represents, and the excitement it brings to those who discover it. The 1978 Australian 2-cent coin is now considered a hidden gem in the world of Australian coinage. It's proof that even the smallest denominations can turn into valuable artifacts when preserved with care. Collectors around the world are keeping a close eye on this year, as demand for vintage Australian decimals continues to grow. Each auction, each sale, each rediscovery adds another layer to its legacy. So if you happen to come across a shiny 2-cent coin marked 1978, don't dismiss it. Look closely, check the shine, the edges, the details, because what you hold might just be worth far more than you imagine. As time moves on, the 1978 2-cent coin will only become rarer, and those who recognize its worth now will be the ones celebrating its rise in value in the years ahead. The highest recorded value so far for a flawless 1978 2-cent coin stands around $1,200, and as collector demand continues to climb, it could soon be worth even more. So remember, fortune often hides where few bother to look. And this humble coin from 1978 stands as living proof that greatness doesn't always glitter in gold sometimes. It gleams softly in bronze. And as we continue our exploration of these Australian treasures, each coin reveals another page of history, another story of value, and another chance to uncover the extraordinary in the ordinary. As our journey through the remarkable series of Australian 2-cent coins continues, we now arrive at the final chapter, the 1981 Australian 2-cent coin, a fitting finale to a story of history, artistry, and hidden fortune. The year 1981 marked a time of quiet transition in Australian coinage. The familiar bronze 2-cent coin, once a symbol of everyday life, was nearing the end of its golden era. Yet this particular year would prove that even in its later stages, the 2-cent coin had the power to astonish collectors and historians alike. Minted under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the 1981 issue carried forward the same elegant design that had become a national favorite. The distinctive frilled-neck lizard by Stuart Devlin on one side, and the dignified portrait of Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin on the other. But beneath its familiar surface lies an unexpected twist, a tale of mint varieties and international minting secrets that have made the 1981 2-cent coin one of the most sought-after of its decade. Unlike most years, the 1981 2-cent coins were not produced solely in Canberra. Due to increased minting demands, Australia turned to two other facilities, the Royal Mint in London and the Royal Canadian Mint, to strike additional coins. Each of these mints produced subtle design differences and striking characteristics that, decades later, would ignite fascination among collectors. The coins minted in London and Canada can be identified by their unique rim shapes, die finishes, and overall strike quality, small details invisible to casual eyes, but precious to experts. These international mint marks have turned ordinary bronze coins into collectible rarities. High-grade examples of the 1981 Australian 2-cent coin have fetched between $400 and $700, while proof-like and mint-condition specimens, especially those struck overseas, have reached values of $900 to $1,200 in the collector's market. And that's not the end of the story. Certain error coins from 1981, including off-center strikes, die clashes, or those with slight metal flaws, have sold for over $1,500, making them among the most valuable of the entire 2-cent series. It's extraordinary to think that a coin once worth only 2 cents could now hold the power to command such impressive sums. Each one is a silent witness to history, to a time when Australia's coinage connected not just a nation, but the world's finest mints. What truly makes the 1981 2-cent coin special is its symbolism. It represents the end of an era, the final flourish of a design that had graced Australian pockets for over 15 years. Soon after, the bronze coins would fade from circulation, giving way to new designs and materials. But collectors never forgot the 2-cent coin, and 1981, in particular, has come to embody its lasting legacy. Every gleaming example is a reminder of craftsmanship, precision, and royal heritage under Queen Elizabeth II's timeless reign. As the decades passed, the coin's sentimental and monetary value only grew stronger. What was once spent without thought has now become a symbol of nostalgia and national pride, an echo of Australia's rich numismatic story. And for those lucky enough to hold one in mint state, the reward is more than financial, it's emotional. You're holding a final piece of an era, a coin that bridges the past and present in a single circle of bronze. Today, the maximum recorded price for a flawless 1981 Australian 2-cent coin stands proudly around $1,500. And as collectors continue to hunt for perfection, its value is expected to rise even higher. So if you ever come across one of these coins, untouched, gleaming, and beautifully preserved, hold on to it. Because what you have in your hands isn't just a coin. It's the closing chapter of one of Australia's greatest numismatic stories. The 1981 Australian 2-cent coin stands as a symbol of rarity, history, and beauty. The final sparkle in the legacy of bronze that began in 1966 and captured the heart of collectors for generations. And as this journey concludes, remember this. In the world of collecting, endings are never truly the end. They're the beginning of new discoveries. So keep looking, keep collecting, and keep believing in the extraordinary power of the smallest coins.